Welcome back to the Jet Set Trainer podcast. And today I'm here to talk about something that I'm actually super nerding out on. And it's changed the way that I look at health and fitness and how I'm actually coaching my clients. And it's not just for me, it's not just for my clients, but it's for me as well. And that's, I've kind of discovered the functional health rabbit hole. Now, I'll be real with you personally. I have my own struggles with my own fitness goals. And I found out that a lot of my struggles, personally, like symptomatically, I was noticing as some gut health issues, not to be graphic, but little, not great movements. When I did have a bowel movement, it was extremely unpleasant. And I was just wondering, like, what is going on? Why am I struggling so much? This coach, beacon of health over here, plant-based aficionado, I'm like, how am I having gut issues? Well, just like anything else, we can believe the stories we tell ourselves, or we can critically look at our own self. And so I was thinking, I need help. Something's going on. And so I found out that I actually have some dysfunction with my liver and my metabolism itself. Now, because of that, my body is struggling to absorb nutrients like omega-3s and 6s and vitamin B12s and vitamin B6. And it's causing some downstream effects like lower testosterone for my age and some gut health issues. And really holding me back from being better from all the work I put in with nutrition and the gym. And if you're like me, when you find a hiccup in your plan, it drives you nuts. You're like, man, I think you're on top of the world, I control everything. And then you find little things like this where you're like, I want it fixed now. And that's who I guess I'm speaking to. If you're here, you hopefully are a health nut. You're into this sort of thing, and I'm here to kind of share you my journey with functional health, and why it's important, and you should look into it, and how I'm beginning to implement it in my actual training with my coach or with my coaches and myself and my clients. So if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, working out, eating clean, progressive overload, pushing yourself in the gym, or you've been really good at weight loss, then all of a sudden you just aren't, and you're still not maybe building this muscle, like you reach this plateau, this episode is for you, especially if we haven't dug deep into our functional health. Okay, so I keep saying functional health. It's a buzzword, right? So what is it? Functional health is all about asking why the body is breaking down, not just labeling symptoms, which I love. I am all about problem solving. I was a former Army maintenance officer. It was a mechanic in charge of mechanics. I personally was not a mechanic, but as an officer in the Army, I was charged with taking on roles like aviation, maintenance officer. And I learned so much about helicopters and diagnosing issues. And it's kind of funny, my analogy is what I learned is whether it's your car, helicopter, or your body, there's a phrase out there called throwing parts at a problem. And we tend to do that with our health, and I didn't realize it. Functional health is much more about a diagnosis to why something's not working right. Like, for example, on the Black Hawk, there's a lot of moving parts. And when you're using a government credit card, it can be pretty tempting to just start replacing parts and hope the problem goes away. That would be throwing parts at it. Or like you take your car to a mechanic and maybe your transmission's slipping or something's not right, and your mechanic just goes for the $5,000 repair and just says, let's replace the transmission, that'll fix it. When in reality, all you need to do is change the fluid. True story, I had that in my Jeep. It was like a $2,000 quote. I took it to a Valvoline station, did a transmission flush. It's been driving great for the next 5+ years. Anyway, I digress. I like cars. But the same is true with our health. And why I bring up that analogy is that traditional medicine might look at your blood pressure, your cholesterol, blood sugar and say, okay, you're fine, everything's in range, have a nice day. Well, functional health goes a little bit deeper than that. You know, those tests aren't actually testing issues in your gut or your liver or your metabolism or your hormonal health or your adrenal health. The things that you rely on every single day. It's kind of like when, we're flying and we have a warning or a caution light in the flight deck. Not every caution means that this is an emergency, we must land the plane. It just means something's not right. One of the computers failed. One of the navigation systems needs to be rebooted. A backup system failed. Fine, the flight's going to go on as normal. You write it up and maintenance fixes it. Well, over time, if you don't fix those things, that can lead to an emergency flying. Really, what's happening with this functional health stuff is if you don't address this, this is what leads to chronic fatigue or chronic metabolic issues, chronic weight gain, and all the problems that come with that, heart disease, high cholesterol, etc., etc. A lot of our chronic health issues can be stopped at the source with some of this stuff. You're getting ahead of the curve, especially I just turned 35. I like to think that I'm healthy. Some of these people have all these issues and they won't know it until they hit about 45, 50, and then they're going to be behind the curve trying to fix it then. Some people never get ahead of it, and they just die from a chronic disease like obesity or heart disease and have a heart attack, and it's over. When all of this could have been prevented years and years and years in advance with one simple test, a couple changes to their diet, a couple supplements to help to reset our body. Because remember, our body is not, I make this joke, with clients. They're like, if you've ever seen Coming to America, Zamunda with Eddie Murphy, that's where he came from. He grew up with privilege, basically in the Garden of Eden. He was given everything he wanted, a wife, perfect food, fresh berries to shampoo his hair, and he chooses to go to Queens, New York, which is totally different. But, I always joke that your life is never going to be like Zamunda, where everything's handed to you. You're going to have stress. You're going to not sleep some days. You're going to have less nutritious food. You're going to have to maybe you're going to have to get something in the airport like me that's not the most nutritious, but it's better than not eating. In life itself, we're always managing risk. We're always managing better and worse and trying to do the best we can, right? Well, over time, we got to see what effects that has deep in our body's biology. And that's what functional health allows us to do. It allows us to get ahead of some of these chronic issues that can lead to some really annoying things. Like, I have a client who lost 30 pounds with me, and all of a sudden, all the weight stopped. He is excellent with food, excellent with nutrition, excellent with going to the gym, walking. He's doing all the right things when it comes to fat loss. And for just some reason, he could not lose a single pound more. And that's where we are today, is implementing some of these changes into his routine to get past this plateau, because it's his body that's fighting him back. And we didn't know that until we actually did some functional testing. And that might actually be you. So how do we test for these hidden red flags in our body that even, quote unquote, a beacon of health that I try to be is still struggling with? Well, gut health, you run a stool test, right? We'll send our poop in the mail. That's what I tell my wife. I sent my poop in the mail today. Kind of gross, but super important. What is in your poop? You don't know. I'm not a poop expert. I sent it in the mail to a poop expert, and they actually told me. And I had a severe bacterial imbalance, bacterial dysbiosis it's called. That's why my farts were so smelly. That's why my bowel movements weren't always regular, or not feeling good, or inconsistent. And those are important things. Colon cancer is one of the leading causes of death for young people right now. And it's very insidious. Many people don't even know they have colon cancer until it's spread to another system, because our colon is so not impermeable, but the opposite of that. It can leak, especially if you're having issues like I'm having. And cancer can quickly get out of the colon and go to something more important in our bodies. So gut health is huge. It's one of the most underrated things. It's an emerging science right now. So I sent my poop in the mail, and I found out I got some issues, and I want to get ahead of that. Metabolism. Okay, so symptoms-based evaluations, like do you feel tired, obviously, but beyond that, other markers and how you're feeling and what can be tested with, a blood test, and checking to see what's in your blood, right? When I first did this functional testing, I did 3 separate visits. I think it was like 30 vials of blood over 3 visits. It was a ton of blood. It was a lot, but I'm learning I didn't have to go and just donate a gallon of blood to figure out all this stuff. We can actually triage and target some things rather than test everything. And I'll get into my results a little bit later. Metabolism, yes, blood tests can help with that. Adrenals and hormones. So saliva, urine tests can show your cortisol curve, whether you're burning out or producing stress hormones at the wrong times of the day. This also ties into your testosterone or estrogen balance, depending on your gender, which are critical when it comes to losing weight and building muscle. All of this is data that you deserve to know out there, whether you're an Olympic athlete or just getting started in the gym. The actual uncovering these biological markers is extremely critical to your success. So micronutrient absorption, blood and urine tests can review if you're actually absorbing B12 or essential fatty acids, or if you're actually passing through unused nutrients. And that's a problem, right? I take a multivitamin. I was doing the right things, but it found out that my body wasn't absorbing it, so it didn't matter. Not only is it bad for my health and frustrating for my gains, but I'm wasting all this money on supplements that aren't being absorbed because my gut isn't working right. Inefficiency drives me nuts. So those are some tests that you can do. So why does this matter? Here's the kicker. This is why so many people get stuck, is that you can be perfect tracking food. You can be perfect doing cardio, lift heavy, have creatine, extra protein, and you may not see change because your body's just not reacting to the stimulus you're putting into it. If your gut can't absorb protein, your muscle's not going to grow or create the amino acids you need. If your liver is struggling, that may affect your fat metabolism and cause your hormones to crash. If your adrenals are fried, your cortisol stays high, all of which is terrible for fat loss and for your own, do you feel good today? Do you feel exhausted? It could all be related to this functional health stuff. And so, just like so many other things in this industry, the problem isn't your willpower, it's your biology. And mastering it takes years, and it takes a concerted, intentional effort. So many other coaches will blame a client for their lack of results. Not me. That's why I'm here today. I had a client that I was stuck with. I couldn't get him below 200 pounds. No, come hell or high water. We slowly backed off his calories, and he continued to stay stuck. Well, rather than punish him more and more and more to will his body into losing weight, I took a step back and I started to dive into this rabbit hole to see if there's something else I'm missing. And I've grown as a coach from this. So I'm never going to blame a client for their lack of results. It's always back on me, the coach. How can we get past this? Especially the client who's doing everything I ask. It's the best that I can do. Is if he's executing everything I ask, we're not getting results. There's something up. And we figured that out. There is. So, for my example, I'm going to bring up my markers here. Pretty interesting stuff. So, beacon of health over here, right? This blood test, multiple blood tests I took. So, over 105 different markers in my biology, from immunity, biological age, blood markers, cancer detection, electrolytes, environmental toxins, heart markers, immune regulation, kidney, liver, male health, metabolic, nutrients, pancreas, stress and aging, thyroid, urine, blah, 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 all this stuff. Said I was actually 10 years younger. Hey, count it. So that's pretty cool. But there's still 14 markers out of range. And I was going to kind of share with you my results. I'm looking on the other window here. But big thing that I learned, so I had some heart markers, which are interesting. Let's see, HDL large measures the amount of large, protective, high-density lipoprotein particles in the blood. Mine was below range. Interesting. This is indicating an increased amount of cholesterol particle that can deposit in my arteries and contribute to plaque buildup and blood clot formation. That's not good. I'm vegan or plant-based. How's that possible? Once again, it goes back to this absorption stuff. Same thing with LDL peak size, LDL medium and small. They were all out of range, either above or below. I actually learned I have a strong correlation with high lipoproteins, which is a genetic trait. Not my fault, but it makes me more predetermined for heart attacks. Great, that's good to know. Good thing I'm getting ahead of it now, right? Not at 65. Anyway, moving on from the heart stuff, I found out I had low white blood cell count. Damn it, that sucks, because I hate being sick. Well, if you have low white blood cells, then you're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to prevent yourself from getting sick. And I'm also low on neutrophils, which makes up 50 to 70% of white blood cells and acts as a frontline defender against bacterial fungal infections. So I am operating at a suboptimal immune system. That annoys the heck out of me. Once again, all of this comes back to absorption with the metabolism is what I'm learning. And the biggest red flag was it's called bilirubin, which is a liver health metric. Mine was elevated, which can show that it's produced when old red blood cells break down and my liver processes it for elimination. So if I have high elevated bilirubin levels, it can be associated with various liver conditions. So probably should figure out what's going on with that. My liver's inflamed. And your liver is a super important organ. It is a filter for the body, but also super important for your metabolism. If you have some dysfunction there, it can cause major issues, and especially down the road if I never fix it, right? Which has, from what I understand, has led to my low free testosterone. Crazy. And leptin below range for my metabolism. And below range omega-6s and 3s. What else? That's about it. But they're correctable. And that's the good news, is that I'm working with a healthcare provider to fix it. And that's kind of the takeaway that I want to give to you guys, is that you should get yourself tested. Figure this out, because whether you're into fitness, getting started, you've been lifting for years, you're an Olympic athlete, everyone deserves to know, the caution panel in their flight deck. Do we have a standby system that went down and we need to fix it? We need to let maintenance know. I'm asking you guys, you should let maintenance know, because if you don't, it can lead to an emergency with your health. It may not be this year or next year, but it could be decades from now. And it could be growing inside of you, and it could be causing real discomfort in your everyday life, and it's not normal, and you can fix it. So the most exciting part about all of this, if you're still here, is that I have paid into some healthcare providers to not only help me with this, but to help you with this, the listener and my clients. So I wanted to announce that if you want to take our free biometric health evaluation, it's a self-disclosed health personality test. That's how I like to describe it. You don't know what the right answer is, just answer truthfully, and you'd be surprised what your results tell you, just based on how the questions are asked. And it does a really good job of pointing us in the right direction for any dysfunction in your functional health. It's totally free. It takes 25 minutes. I have the link to give you. I don't know how many subscribers are listening to this right now, but you can do it right now. You can find out in 20 minutes maybe why you're stuck, why your gut doesn't feel great some days, why you feel sluggish. It may not be your fault. It may be parts of your biology that just need to be addressed deep within. So take my test, let me know, and I'm going to get you at least pointed in the right direction, whether it's with me or some other provider. It's something that I'm offering every new client of mine is this biometric health evaluation. And it's something I'm offering my followers and subscribers because I want to help as many people as possible, and at least allowing you to take this test to at least point the red flags where they need to be so you can go get it investigated. It's the least I can do. It's so I can help the most people. Nobody deserves to struggle with their health. Nobody. Everyone deserves to be empowered with health and take control with their health, armed with knowledge and a real plan. And that just goes kind of with what we do here at Jet Set Trainer. Is I'm not here to be someone's trainer till the end of time. I've always been here to help get you on the straight and narrow path with your health, teach you how to maintain it, and let you go do it. I got a busy life. I'm an airline pilot. I taught ballroom dancing. I did country music. This is just the next thing in my life, another skill that I learned. And just like with any skill, once you master it, teaching it to others is the most rewarding part of that skill. So me telling you what to eat and not telling you why is not teaching you nutrition. Or me telling you to exercise this way without an explanation isn't teaching you fitness. Everything that I do in this company with every client I work with is with the goal so that they have the same understanding of health and fitness at a minimum to what I know. And the goal is to give them independence back. And this is just another pillar to your independence from your body and health. You are in charge of your health, and you can do it as long as you learn the skills and the information and have the tools to do it. And this is just a part of my mission to help as many people as I can. I want to work with travelers because I can speak to those people the most. But if it's not me helping you, getting help from a professional when it comes to health and fitness is the best thing that I've ever spent money on. Highly recommend you look for a coach that you can do the same. So that's what this episode is about, functional health, the silent killer inside your body you don't know exists. And I don't care who you are, professional athlete, brand new to the gym, everyone, I repeat, everyone, underline, exclamation point, should look into their functional health. And you can do it through me, through my free biometric health evaluation. Just to do that, if you see this right now, it's August 21st, 2025. I have a workshop on this coming up in a few days. Sign up for that workshop in my link tree. Hope you can find it. If you can't find it, it's on Jet Set Trainer TikTok or Jet Set Trainer info right now on Instagram. Search me on Google, whatever. It's in my link tree, and it's the first link. It's for the workshop. And when you sign up for the workshop, we're going to be talking about really my business and how I help travelers lose fat and build muscle by eating takeout and maybe not working out every day, which is actually pretty nice. So, but in addition to that, you're going to get access to this biometric health evaluation so we can go over your results live at my workshop and at least get you some information on any red flags if they exist. If you're listening to this after this August 2025, just send me a DM on any one of my social media platforms. TikTok, Instagram primarily is where I'm at. Send me a message, say, hey Scott, I listened to your podcast about functional health. I was interested in taking your biometric health evaluation. Do you still have it? The answer will be yes. I'll send it over to you. As soon as you complete it and get your results back, I'd be happy to kind of debrief you on what I see. So this is here. I'm here to help. I always have been here to help, especially if I can't help you, I can at least point you in the right direction from what I know so you can get the help. So here's my challenge for you is if you've ever been working hard and still feel stuck, don't kill yourself. Maybe it's not time to grind harder. Maybe it's time to kind of look under the hood. Functional health testing could be the missing piece to unlocking fat loss, muscle growth, energy, focus, and overall vitality. Because when your body functions the way it's designed to, despite our dysfunctional first world, the results you've been chasing become so much easier. And you get more independence with your health, and you can move on to more important things in your life. So, if this resonated with you, share this episode with somebody who's been maybe stuck, and point them my way to see if I can help. And if you want to learn more about functional testing and how we use it in our coaching, just shoot me a message. But until next time, Keep your body flying high and don't just train harder, train smarter.